In this situation, it's a win-win for both organizations. I think when you look at the Mavericks getting AD, yeah, AD is a little older in age, but he's still producing at a high level.
You sure about that?
The Dallas Mavericks will win the NBA championship.
I don't think so.
If Anthony Davis is healthy, if Anthony Davis plays 65 to 70 games, the Dallas Mavericks, they're the second best, in my opinion, they're the second best team in the Western Conference.
Ooh, yeah. I'm going to have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
When looking at NBA superstars in league history, who are some of the most frustrating players you can think of, one guy who comes to mind first and foremost is Anthony Davis. As looking at Davis' career, no doubt a Hall of Famer and a first ballot at that. But what Davis could have been, not just a Hall of Famer, but an NBA legend who's top 15 or top 20 all time. This guy's career, still fantastic, but looking back on it, he kind of expected more.
This is what they say about you, right? They say you are a can't-miss prospect. In fact, Mark and I were talking earlier, we're like,
I said you a can't miss.
If he's can't miss, that means he's the first since what? Since LeBron.
He is the one player that can be a game changer, if you will, for whichever team drafts him, which immediately will be elevated, even if it's Charlotte.
To put into perspective how good Davis was back in 2012, the Charlotte Bobcats that season only won 7 games and put out one of the worst rosters of all time to tank for AD. As looking at his draft class, he's compared to Bill Russell and Tim Duncan as the heir to those guys' thrones. As much like Russell could control a game defensively, much like Tim Duncan had every post move in the book. Now, looking at the mid-2010s, late 2010s, when Davis was at his peak athletically, really his peak overall, one of the biggest debates in basketball involved him and Giannis. And looking at Davis in 2017-2018, the vast majority of fans and media picked Davis over Giannis. As looking at AD, a walking 28-11 led the NBA in blocks, he had a jump shot and was top 3 in MVP, as well as DPOY. Davis at that point debatably was a top 3 player in the entire NBA. After that playoff run when he swept Portland, his stock league-wide was higher than ever.
Giannis or AD, who you taking as the best?
I'm going with AD.
How good is he?
Athletic Tim Duncan.
Dude's not even 25. Mm-hmm. So you got another, in his prime, another 5 to 8 years in his absolute prime.
I think he is the best player in this league at 25 and under. And I don't think it's real close, to be honest with you.
You don't?
I like Giannis. I think he's a great player. He handles the ball. That's the only thing that AD doesn't do. But everything else, he affects you on both ends of the floor.
Now, looking at Davis post-2018, really post-Pelicans, the past 8 years have been a mixed bag to say the least. I was looking at Davis' peak in 2020, an absolute menace on defense, the best defender in basketball. I've had Lakers team, the backbone to why they won the championship. And that right there is what makes Davis so frustrating. Back in 2020 was absolute brilliance, but 21, 22, and so on is bitter disappointment, injuries, and lackluster play.
Drives again, back to Davis. Davis for 3. Bang! Anthony Davis from downtown!
Many months later.
It's the left groin, and down he goes.
And Anthony Davis here looks like he may be grabbing his back.
The Lakers are currently without Anthony Davis right now, as reported by our Malika Andrews.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
That right there for Anthony Davis is kind of his career. He'll have one great peak, one all-time great season, followed by 2, 3, even 4 seasons that are below par. Again, this dude is an all-timer. He's a legend. But looking at those glimpses of brilliance in 2020, 2018, it leaves you wanting more. And speaking of wanting more, for the Lakers and Dallas, what they want more of is this guy actually playing basketball and being healthy. As looking at the past 5 years, Davis, on average, has played 51.8 games per season, and only one time in that stretch, cracked 65 games and met that threshold.
That's terrible.
For Davis right now as an NBA star, we'll kind of get who he is. He's an older, aging player who's injury-prone, who's not the guy for a franchise. Everyone in the NBA kind of gets that. The one guy who didn't get that was unfortunately Nico Harrison.
We do not speak his name.
Now, when it comes to the Anthony Davis Dallas era, if you want to talk frustration, it's been that virtually non-stop. As of course, in his debut, was playing fantastic, and then got hurt. This year, 5 games in, playing relatively well, and then got hurt. Anthony Davis in Dallas, much like his career, will have 1 good game, 2 good games, followed by 3 bad games, and another injury. For the Mavericks this year in 2026, they didn't have championship hopes, title hopes, but they had, be competitive, be frisky hopes. Anthony Davis' injury kind of tanked that 5 games in. Out of the next 16 games, he'd miss 15.
5 the other night in their last game against Minnesota. Ball in, Davis, a blow by, and
2 guys went after it.
Davis again.
12 seconds later.
They're already without Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, and now Anthony Davis walking off the court.
If you still have hope in Anthony Davis as a legit superstar player, legit star player, you're going off blind faith and wanting to believe. As looking at his career, he's had 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now 5th chances and lets you down every single time. And if you want to summarize the Anthony Davis experience, here it is right here. This guy versus OKC in a primetime game on a Friday in the first half was absolutely abysmal, the worst half of his career. As versus the Thunder, had 0 points, 0-4 shooting, was not hunting a shot out, 0-2 from the line, 15 minutes, and was a -10. Davis for the entire game, he was awful. In the first half especially when it was close, this guy was an absolute no-show and a ghost on the floor. Now here's the frustrating thing. After that absolute dud versus OKC, versus Houston, another top team in the West, this dude looked fantastic and like a 3rd-team All-NBA player, OG Anthony Davis. That right there with Davis is what I can't stand. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, 1 game, a 9.5 out of 10, the next game, a 0.5 out of 10.
Davis inside, no. Wallace, no. Davis blocked at the horn. Holmgren got it back. Attacking Davis, who goes down holding his left knee. SGA got a tray.
The next day.
Here's AD against KD. On the money for Davis again. He was going to caramba. He was dancing on the ceiling. Oh, here is a steal by Anthony Davis, and Davis will accelerate. Now Smith. Smith with a drive. Blocked by AD.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Now, one last thing I do want to talk about when it comes to Anthony Davis. Right now, this dude is 13 years old and in year 14. But looking at his body, how he moves most nights, looks like he's 37 and in year 20. And his overall production right now, compared to his 2020 seasons, his scoring average, the lowest of the decade, blocks, 2nd lowest, field goal percentage, also 2nd lowest, free throw attempts, the lowest, and free throw percentage, also the lowest.
The reason the Dallas Mavericks were comfortable enough to make the move to move Luka out of town is because this brother, when healthy, is 28-12.
No.
So that right there is in the video, and I'll say one last thing. Davis right now in Dallas is basically Barkley in Houston in '98. Was he a great player, MVP candidate, an all-timer? Of course he was. But at this point, he's over the hill, has some juice left, but not enough to make you say, it's prime Barkley, prime AD, they're still that guy. Davis at age 32, it's kind of over, and he is who he is. And here's the worst thing of all. Him getting traded for Luka Doncic, he's going to be linked to that for the rest of his life. If Luka wins 1 championship in Los Angeles, that's an indictment on Davis in that trade. If he wins 2 and 3 championships, it's the worst swap of the 21st century. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.